Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Lifeboat. Give me 2 seconds, everybody. Just getting everything squared away here. This was kind of impromptu. Okay. I'm going to be getting the ball rolling here in... Got a couple people on here. People, bear with me just 2 seconds. All I'm doing is getting the rest of this stuff plugged in. Don't move. Can I get a shout out if you can hear me and we're not having any problems? Can somebody give me a how we doing on sound? Da-da-da-da-da. Ben Genetics, he made it. See what happens? You go out and you have a great time at Applebee's, and then you come here and catch the Lifeboat live. Let's see here. You are all good. That's what I wanted to hear. People, give me 3 seconds. I'm just plugging in a power source because I don't know how long a battery I got. Alrighty. Alright, now we're official. Everybody, I am Captain Tommy Scoville. This is the Lifeboat. Really appreciate everyone who's stopping by. I also want to say thanks to everybody that went to the interview that I did over with Mark on Wages World. Boy, I tell you what, man, what a story, huh? Is Mark absolutely incredible or what? What a guy, I'm telling you. The things that Mark has been through in life, the challenges with his health, and yet he comes out on the other side with the attitude that he has. It would be very easy for someone who has endured the things that Mark has endured to be a really negative person, and the fact that that's not the case is such a testament to who Mark is as a person. I could not be any happier to call that man my brother. Let's see what we got here. Sorry. Let's do this. No. All right. Sorry. All right. Sorry, folks. There's some things that came up in when I was doing my interview with Mark. I couldn't read anything that was happening in the comments section. The nature of what doing one of these live feeds the way that I do them is it's difficult to try to set up 2 screens. I have done it. I've set up 2 screens. The problem becomes the fact that I really like sort of this, right? I like to where I feel like I'm connected to you all, and I'm actually, I don't know, for lack of a better word, I'm having a relationship with the camera. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm actually talking to you people and I'm interacting. When I go like this and I go back and forth and I try to read, I lose that connectivity, I guess, to everyone. So I am not great at trying to read the messages that way. That's why we had Linda last night on there doing call screener for me. I have not seen Linda in the comments section. I did tell her she has the ability to get on back office on my stuff. So last night she wasn't actually, I saw a little debate over who Linda was. She was not in the comment section, people. She was in the back office of my of the YouTube studio and going that route. But I'm waiting for a message so that we can see if maybe we do some question and answers. I don't know. She's in Sydney, Australia. So the timing is, it's morning, I think, over there for her. So that should work out. But first I want to address some of the things that were said. People, I know that you want to come to the defense of the good captain anytime somebody says something that may be contrary, or if they say something that you feel like is attacking me. And there was some talk in there concerning Suboxone. People, this is going to be a debate that rages on forever. I was able to go back and read some of the things that were said. That was an individual, and I'm sure he's a great guy. But there is a phenomenon among people that get addicted to drugs, people who use. that you come to believe that you know everything. I'm not picking on them. I'm not picking on anybody really. I was the same person until I stepped back. The things I used to say about the drug, heroin, China White, for instance, once I started studying and figured out the truth about different substances, there is a long-standing belief that China White is the strongest of all heroines. And the truth of the matter, people, is that that's simply not a fact. He commented in the comment section about the fact that I had a 6 gram a day habit. He said, well, it had to have been black tar because he couldn't have done that with China White because of how strong it is. Number one, China White is kind of like tissue, right? Or Kleenex. Grab me a Kleenex, right? It doesn't matter who makes the Kleenex. We all call it a Kleenex or a Xerox copy. It doesn't matter who makes. You can make a Xerox copy on a machine made by anybody. It doesn't have to be made by Xerox. These are terms that sort of become generic. The truth with China White is powdered heroin always got called China White because back in the day when it first started getting imported, it came from China. And that heading, became something that is a catch-all for so much of that, of all of the different types of heroin. And the truth of the matter is that in terms of purity, there's only been a couple of research studies done ever as to what is stronger, China White or black tar. The truth of the matter right now in this country is that black tar is coming across the border and the potency continues to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And the reason is the competition now for clients is insane. It started out with people coming across the border. There was a little town called Navarrete, and a lot of people came over from that particular town, and they set up a distribution network that people hadn't seen before. Normally, you would go and you would buy drugs on a street corner, or you would have a phone number that of a guy that you knew. You'd call him up, and you'd swing by his apartment. These people set up a distribution network where you you call up and you say, "I need 6 bags." And they say, all right, go to the Walmart on 6th Street. Go to the Burger King on 9th. And they have dispatch drivers. One person answers the phone and dispatches drivers out to the city. Well, they became the most popular people in town in terms of a customer base because they could deliver a product that was always the same and they could deliver it in 10 minutes. For someone who is addicted to a drug that causes withdrawals, I promise you, the faster that you can get something, hey, Mark, how you doing? The faster that you can get the drug delivered, the more popular you are. So that became kind of the gold standard. Once people realized how much money was being made by these delivery services, more and more of them sprouted up. And what happened often is a driver would quit and take the list of customers with him and spin out his own delivery service, right? They call them cells, believe it or not. But these cells popped up all over the country. At first it was a California thing, and it's made its way all the way to the East Coast. Traditionally in this country, what happened is the East Coast gets heroin that comes primarily from South America, and very oftentimes it is in a powdered form. It's just a different form of the drug, of how it's processed. Tar takes much less processing. And for that reason, people tended to think it was the dirtier version. And for people who shoot up, it requires much more heat to break down. There's a lot of issues with it that make people think that it's less potent. Back to the delivery service. Now you've got these cells everywhere, correct? In order to compete, they started giving better deals. So instead of selling somebody, the heroin is usually sold in 1/10 of a gram bags, or little balloons that are tied up as 1/10 of a gram. So the delivery services started to say, okay, instead of giving you 10 for $100, I'll give you 15 for $100, or I'll give you 12 for $100. Well, it gets to a point where they're not going to continue to make it cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. There has to be some profit margin. They all did this. Now, for $100, people can get 17 tenths or 1.7 grams. Now what do you do? If everyone's doing the exact same thing, how do you distinguish your product from everybody else's? You're delivering it on time. You're giving a lot of it. The product is similar in strength. The next step was to deliver a stronger product. And it really doesn't mess with the profit margin much because south of the border, you can buy this stuff for pennies on the dollar. So these guys would smuggle their own stuff across and they would start to cut it less and less and less people, it's not rocket science that the number of overdoses are going up massively. The reason is that they're not cutting the product anymore. I mean, they are, but very little. And at one point, 20%, 15% purity was considered rocket fuel. Now that's crawling up in most states into the 40s and 50s, and in some states into the 60s and 70s. So when someone made a comment about how China White is so much stronger than the tar, no offense, I'm sure he's a great guy, but that's ignorance. It's just someone, and I don't mean ignorant as in he's stupid. I mean he isn't well read on the subject. Nowadays, when somebody says China White in this country, they're talking about fentanyl. I mean, really, there's so little of the original product that is coming into this country, and there's no reason to. You can make fentanyl for pennies on the dollar, as compared to trying to make real heroin. Making real heroin requires a very serious process. Fentanyl is considerably cheaper to make, and they're being made in super labs in China. There's no way to compete. But when it comes over here and it's not tar, it gets called China White. Now, the fentanyl that everybody hears about, that if you touch, right, it's going to kill you. That's carfentanil. It is not the same thing that people are talking about when they say people are out getting high on fentanyl. No one's getting high on carfentanil. Not as in like I'm sitting down with a batch of it, because we'll kill you. There's no chance. What people do is try to pulverize it into the smallest size in terms of granule, and then try to cut that in. You literally can take this much and put it on a kilo, and you're going to get a kilo of strong heroin. Where the problem is in the suspension. Yeah, anybody ever use an inhaler for asthma? How is it that every time you hit, you get the same amount of drug in each exhale of this little, blast out that you get? Well, the term is called suspension, and what they're doing is making sure that there is the same amount of drug in every single dose, right? You can't do this with carfentanil. You can't do it with regular fentanyl. So you do your best, you throw it in and you blend it up and you blend it and you mix it and you blend it and you blend it. It's never going to work. Yes, to an extent you can cut the entire kilo or you can do whatever, but you're going to get hot spots. This is where the carfentanil or regular fentanyl sticks together. And instead of being able to get it all the way out, moisture gets a couple of these crystals, right? And literally, with carfentanil, we're talking about crystals. If you take 1 grain of salt-sized chunk of carfentanil, you're dead. I'm serious. This is a great drug for what it was designed to do, which is be given to elephants. It's not designed to be given to humans. So you're getting a ton of overdoses from carfentanil and even from regular fentanyl. But there's something called alpha methylfentanyl. And I'm sure that the guy that was, talking about all of the stuff over there knows this too. He seemed a smart guy. But alpha methylfentanyl is really what's being done on the street. It's not carfentanil. The alpha brand is stuff that you absolutely can do. You can shoot it. I'm not going to lie to you. It is viciously strong. You can also get this to gas. And what I mean by that is if you put it onto tin foil and you put flame to it, you absolutely can get this to gas up. And in doing so, you can breathe that in. It's very popular among smokers. One of the bad parts is this. We have been taught for years, and it was at one time a scientific surety, that I don't care how strong the heroin was, you could sit down and smoke it until you went unconscious, but you were not going to overdose. The way that it enters your system makes that very difficult to do. It makes it impossible to do. Now, once you start cutting that heroin with fentanyl, alpha fentanyl, or carfentanil, now you've got people who are overdosing and dying from smoking it. And this is something that was unheard of for the longest period of time. I'm going to take a drink of this, and I'm not going to say sorry. I'm sorry, I can't do it. I got to apologize. I feel horrible when I break up what I'm doing to take a sip of that. What do we got? Deja, it's good to see you. We've got Pamela, good to see you. I couldn't be happier, first of all, that we got a chance to go over to Wages World. It was not by design how we were going to do it, but I think it worked out. Charlie Mullins, I love you, my brother. I think it was a great fee. Crispin, good to see you. It was great to get over there because, first of all, if you've never been to Wages World, you got to go. The way that this man teaches is astounding. If I had him as a teacher in high school, people, You might have been voting for me, for public office. But high school, because of how I learned, I struggled in high school. No, it's not that I got bad grades. I got excellent grades in the things that I enjoyed, and I failed the stuff I didn't. So if a teacher couldn't get me to engage, it just didn't sort of work out. But Mark is he's an amazing instructor. He's one of those people that can bring it down to your level without making you feel like you're stupid, that he brought it down to your level, if that makes sense. And if it doesn't, you need to go to Wages World and hit the bell, people. I have a bell. Check this out. Right? Ooh. I don't wake anybody. Hey, this, right? The ship's bell. When you go on there and you pop down, make sure that you hit all, right? Whether it's my channel, whether it's Mark's, anybody's. If you don't hit all, you're not going to get every one of the notifications. And if you don't, you're missing out on good stuff. But I would subscribe to Mark's channel. One of the reasons is you're going to learn an awful lot, and you're going to learn about stuff that actually affects this planet. But just as cool, you're going to run into a lot of people you know, and there's a very similar vibe. These are very, very nice people, and it ends up... The thing that's cool about what we're doing right now is that it's just as much chat room as it is live feed, right? Everybody gets a chance to go in and talk to people who they're really starting to learn to care about, which is a very cool thing. By the way, if I disagree with anything that somebody says, right, there will be two types of disagreement. There will be the types of disagreement where I say, look, we're going to agree to disagree. There are things that can't be proved, right? There are things that can be debated but can't be proved, right? We cannot say with any concrete assurance whether or not there is a God or an afterlife. So people can debate this until the end of time, and they've been doing it for as long as people could draw air into their lungs. This has been a debate. No one's going to win the debate. It's one of those things. And we can agree to disagree. If you do not believe in God, doesn't mean I don't love you. Or if you do believe in a God that I don't, doesn't mean I don't love you. Doesn't mean we can't get along. However, if you would like to say that the most dangerous opiate on the planet is Suboxone, you're wrong. There's no debate for this. You're wrong, right? What makes a drug dangerous? Well, let's go back to the beginning, okay? In the 30s, the United States of America passed a law that basically decided that they were going to say what a drug was. I'm not sure if you realize this, but there was a time in this country where you could buy cocaine or heroin in the Sears catalog. Think I'm kidding? Google it. You could buy syringes. You could buy heroin, a name brand painkiller from a company called Bayer. You're all familiar with them, right? They make aspirin. They're now part of that same conglomerate that is owned by Monsanto. But they own Roundup. They do all that stuff. But at one time, all of these things were legal and you could get them. There was no law against these. These were just painkillers and drugs. Well, the United States of America stepped in and they passed the narcotics bill. And they made a ton of things illegal, right? Including cannabis, which they categorized as a narcotic. Now, people, I'm not here to ever talk about a drug as if it's a good thing. But let's be honest, cannabis is not a narcotic. Not even by their own standards, which is funny because under the Narcotics Act, there are a couple of things that a drug needs to be in order to be a narcotic. One of them is it has to be habit forming. Now, whether or not cannabis and tetrahydrocannabinol is habit forming is open to debate. I think most assuredly it's habit forming for people who have a predisposition to forming habits, right? We won't call it a disease because it makes everybody unhappy. What we'll call it is they have that predisposition to where they can really start to love something with the inability to say no to it. And you can do that with cannabis as easily as you can do it with video games or anything else. However, it is not an addictive substance. Addictive substances are very easy to define if you think about it in terms of physical dependency, right? There's very few of them. The opiate family, the benzo family, they cause physical dependency. You have to have it. If you don't, you are going to get sick, right? That is physical dependency. All right, so they classed it as it had to be habit forming, and it had to be life-threatening in overdose quantities. And make no mistake about it. If you take too much cocaine, it will kill you, right? It will blow up your heart. If you take too much of just about any substance out there, it will kill you. However, that is not the case, obviously, with cannabis. But this is how we started to define what is a narcotic, what is a drug. All of these different things go back to the 30s in the United States of America. So when someone says that Suboxone is the most dangerous of of the opiates out there. I was at Victorville Penitentiary, and I was breaking the law even inside prison after being convicted for breaking the law. What I was doing was selling drugs in prison to support my habit. And what I was selling was Suboxone, but I was selling Suboxone so that I could do heroin. Plain and simple. Because Suboxone doesn't get me high. There's no chance of me getting high on Suboxone. So in my cell, I had 38 strips of Suboxone. And if you've never seen Suboxone, I'm sure most of you have done a breath strip at one time. Remember, they were really popular for a while, where you put the breath strip in and it tastes like mint, or it tastes like any number of flavors, and it makes your breath smell like whatever the breath strip was. Okay, Suboxone is the exact same thing. It is a strip. That strip is made from the silica husks, right? The same thing that they make Metamucil out of. And they make this big sheet of it, and then this machine comes down and sprays it with buprenorphine and naloxone. Now, naloxone is Narcan. That is what they give to people who overdose. It is put into Suboxone for several reasons. One of them is that it actually blocks part of itself. Doesn't make a lot of sense, right? But it blocks part of its own drug from getting into your system. So when the person was saying, well, if you're taking 8 milligrams a day, well, you could take 8 milligrams a day. Doesn't mean you're going to get 8 milligrams a day. A certain amount is blocked by itself. And it doesn't lend itself fantastic as a delivery system. You put it under your tongue. In the best of case scenarios, that form of getting the drug into your system, if you take 8 milligrams, you're really doing well if you got about 6 milligrams that gets delivered to you. That's if you do everything right. You put it under your tongue, you let it sit there, but it looks like a breath strip. In my cell, I had 38 of them. And what I was doing was cutting them into ridiculously small pieces to sell to individuals who have never done the drug. Because if you sell Suboxone to someone who's never done it, they're going to get high. If you've never been addicted to opiates, Suboxone will make you ripped. It will get you ridiculously high. Again, if you've never been addicted to opiates. If you've been addicted to opiates, it's not going to do squat. So, while in there packaging these things up into small pieces, my lookout, who apparently was not doing a particularly good job, let a cop get by without giving me the shout, so to speak. There was a noise that's made. So I'm sitting and doing my thing, and the door opened, and I looked up, and there was a prison guard looking at me and going, "The hell are you doing?" And if I eat these, I'm going to get charged with a charge that you get in prison, which is destroying evidence. Destroying evidence is a lot less of a charge than getting caught with 38 strips of Suboxone to put into sale. That is actually can get you even a new crime. So I ate 38 of them. So for the gentleman who said, you have these things around, people are going to overdose on them. Okay, Mark Wages can't overdose on Suboxone. Tommy Scoville cannot overdose on Suboxone. I ate 38 of these. That is 38 times what the average dose is. The officer watched me do this and went into panic mode. So I was taken to the hospital where, under the guise they were intending to pump my stomach, and do the Lafarge thing where they shoot activated charcoal down there to suck up whatever drug you just took and then suck it back out of a different tube. Not a particularly pleasant procedure. But when I got there and the doctor came in, it was a woman, and she said to me, "Don't lie to me, tell me exactly what it is you swallowed." I said, 38 8-milligram strips of Suboxone. And she said, "How long did it take to get him here?" And the officer said, "We got him here fast. By the time we had him cuffed and everything else, it was about 40 minutes. And she said, "If this is the condition he's in after 40 minutes, you could take him back." They didn't pump my stomach, people, because the doctor knew that if I had opiate dependency disorder, and I was honest, she said to me, "Have you been addicted to opiates?" I said, "I'm addicted to heroin." And she said, "What was your habit?" I said, "About 6 grams a day." Although in prison, I was getting by with about 1 gram a day. And when I told the truth, they sent me back. So for someone to come in here, you can have your opinions all day long, people, and everyone has a right to their own opinion. You don't have a right to your own facts. If you want to come into the comment section and say things that aren't true, I most assuredly am going to call you out on it. How you could define a drug like this as the most dangerous of substances. He also said the drug is perfect to wean off heroin with, but it's not a drug that is designed to be taken for any other reason. Simply not the truth. Again, It's your own facts. I can't allow that. I'm sorry. I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable, but I'm not going to allow somebody their own facts. If you want to take everything that is a fact about Suboxone and then say, I still don't think you should be on it, good for you. You can have that opinion. I'm not even mad at you. Some of my best friends believe that it is not a drug people should stay on long term. That is absolutely your right. What you're not allowed to do, especially on the boat, is make up facts to back up your point. So, people, you have opiate receptors in the body, and they kind of resemble, if you imagine your hand out like this, right? You get these like ganglia kind of things that just expand out, and opiates attach themselves to these receptors on the brainstem. What happens with Suboxone is kind of unusual. It paints them, for lack of a better way to put it. It coats the receptors, and it is what is called an agonist-antagonist. It's a partial agonist. So what happens when these things stick to it is you get this feeling for the addicted portion of the brain, for that part of your brain that makes you scream, right? Feed me, feed me, feed me, feed me, that voice in your head. Once those receptors are covered, you're done. Mark probably described this as well as could be described. Picture a base level, right? This is everybody in the world, right? This is your base level. Okay, for people like Mark and I, when we're normal and nothing is going on, we live here. We're not at base level. We're down here where our body is saying, I need enough heroin, OxyContin, fentanyl, whatever your drug of choice was within the opiate world, to get us to here. For the last, I don't know how many years that I did heroin, I wasn't getting high on the stuff. What I was doing was not getting sick. And this may sound really stupid to people who have never done the substance, but not getting sick becomes the buzz. In fact, most junkies, they don't want to do that next fix until they start feeling bad. Because going from feeling awful to feeling fulfilled, to having that pain go away, becomes the buzz. If you're doing it with a needle and you push the plunger down and all of a sudden the pain is gone, well, surely that feels like a high, doesn't it? I mean, if you hit your thumb with a hammer and I could say, here, take this, and in a second the pain went away, you'd go, that's awesome. That's what happens to a heroin addict or an opiate addict. When the opiates attach to the brainstem, the next thing you know, life is perfect. But the truth of the matter is, all you've done is get back to base. Suboxone gets you to base. It's not getting you to here. Don't get me wrong. Now I'm going to have someone who says, well, I did it and I got... Then you don't have opiate dependency disorder, right? And here's the thing. Just because you abused heroin doesn't mean you have opiate dependency disorder. It is something that affects certain individuals. The reasons why, who knows? I don't know that we're ever going to know exactly the reason why, other than to know that it is random, in that it can affect anyone in any lifestyle, in any, that come from anywhere. Good parents, bad parents, whatever the case may be. We do know that there is a genetic factor to this. If mom and dad are both addicted to heroin, Jesse Stinson, good to see you. If mom and dad were addicted to heroin, there's an excellent chance that you have a predisposition to becoming addicted to opiates. My daughter, if she messes with opiates, is in deep trouble because I was a vicious heroin addict, and at one time her mother was as well, and had opiate dependency disorder. 5-6 grams a day, just abusive. So the odds are excellent that she is already has that as part of her makeup. This is why I harp on the just say no with a K. No one wants to sit their daughter down and tell the daughter that I'm a heroin addict. This was before your time. You never saw me like this. My daughter never knew any of this. When she was born, we were coming to the conclusion that life needed to get fixed instantly. We talk about the grace of God. I sent my wife to rehab, and when she got there and she went through her physical, they told her she was a couple of weeks pregnant. If I didn't send my wife to rehab, there was no telling what that would have done to my daughter. But fortunately, my daughter was not born addicted to anything. In fact, for the entire pregnancy, other than the first couple of weeks, she had no exposure. But I promise you, the odds of her becoming addicted if she messes with it is incredible, which is why I have had exhausting conversations with my daughter concerning this. She knows my past about everything. Everything. It would be really stupid on my part, and to not, make sure that she had all the information that she needs in order to live her best life. knowing that she's not like other people in terms of the ability to do certain things. Like if my daughter has surgery and needs pain medication, it is one of those things that needs to be controlled how it's given to her, because I promise you people, she can get hooked and strung out almost instantly. So there will be times, people, that I argue with people in the comment section. I don't argue with people off the boat, right? We've been down this road. There are people who like to say things about me and about the guys and gals on the boat. I'm not going to engage those people. Doesn't do us any good. And I'm not going to argue if someone would like to say anything about me personally. They don't like my delivery. They don't like blah, blah, blah. That's all good. What I am not going to have is somebody that decides that in order to win their argument, they're going to create their own facts. I'm simply never going to put up with that, people. And I think the reason for that is, more than anything, after 6 years of researching this stuff, I take it kind of personal. You know what I mean? I take it really personal. Get out there and do the research. If you want to argue with me on a playing field, level it. Go research everything that I've taken the time to research, and then we can debate it. But don't come with an opinion and then say, here are my facts. I'm going to make this up. I'm going to make that up. I'm going to make this up. Now, that's all I got to say about that. I'm going to do my Forrest Gump. I don't see there's any reason to go any further with that. That is all I have to say about that. I would like to say thank you to all of the people, as I said, that went over to Mark's channel. I would also really like to thank all of the people who then decided to come over here. That's awesome. Also, people, we're all on the same team. We're all on the same boat, and we're all trying to do the exact same thing. We are trying to take this message to the world that addicts are people too. They made mistakes, and because of certain things that happen in the body, regardless of what you want to call it, we're not like other people, right? And because of that, we didn't have the capacity to say no after we made bad decisions. I own it. I made horrendous decisions. That's how I got addicted. But the chemicals in my makeup of my body made the decision process over and done with after a period of time. So we have a mission to let people know that this is what's going on, that every addiction has two different aspects to it. It's the drug, it's the habit, it's whatever. And then it's the reward center of the brain that for whatever reason derails and rewards people for bad behavior instead of good behavior. Call it whatever the heck you want. You can call it the rubber ball syndrome. Doesn't make any difference to me. I prefer to call it a disease, but you can call it whatever you'd like. But I want that word to get out, and I want the people to understand that we're human beings. And I would like people to see somebody who can sit in front of a camera and engage and talk. And then when, I can't tell you the shock that I get on a regular basis from people who go, "You robbed banks?" If you hear me, it doesn't seem like it would be logical that, I'm not probably the run-of-the-mill bank robber. The truth of the matter is, like so many people who are incarcerated in this country, I wasn't a bank robber. I was a heroin addict. I robbed banks to do drugs. I didn't rob banks to get rich. I was, on paper it says bank robber, right? On paper it says gun runner. I wasn't selling guns to try to keep a war going. I was selling guns because I found a way to get something really cheap and sell it for more so I could do my drugs, so I could pay for my habit. But it seems incongruous to hear me talk now that I was that guy. That's the purpose, people. We want people to understand that no matter where you are, and no matter how far you fall, and no matter how ugly it gets, that you can crawl your way out of that, and you can build a life that is meaningful and productive and helpful. You can become a part of this society in a very, very productive way. I want people to look at me and go, if that idiot can do it, anybody can do it, right? If he could pull that off, I'm just a guy that's partying or whatever. That's the purpose, right? We all understand the mission. Tonight we took a giant leap forward. We got a lot of subs, right? A lot of people subscribed to this channel today. Today they are subs, right? Tomorrow they're going to be family. These people will come over here and they will assimilate. They will start to support each and every person here. Do you know how many emails I've gotten that there is somebody on the boat that we haven't seen in a few days and we're all worried about? I think you know who it is, right? I'm not saying anything. He wouldn't care. James J's not been around for a while. Before anybody panics too hard, James does this. From time to time, he takes and steps away from social media for a while. I'm concerned, I'm not going to lie to you, but this is something that James does. I have sent emails. All we can do is pray, right? And I think that'd be a great idea. Say a prayer for James. And continued prayers for Hannah, please. She's doing better. She still spends, I would say, she doesn't get out of the hospital often. She's in and out, but she spends more time in than out. She's still having a difficult time keeping food down, and there was another surprise today. I know that everyone knows that Hannah was having twins, and that makes for a pregnancy that's more complicated. As it turns out, when that picture was taken, the third sibling was hiding behind one of the other two, and Hannah is actually having triplets, which is, I think everyone is in shock in Hannah's family. I talked to several of them this evening, and I think everyone's in shock. But I mean, it's instant family, right? 3 kids all at once, but it also means 3 beds, 3 car seats. I'm sure it's a little overwhelming. So, prayers for Hannah and for her pregnancy. Good thoughts, energy, however you guys want to deal with it. I am seeing wow on the screen. Tell you what, people. As someone that is very close with her family, ridiculously close with her family, and have been for a long time, long before the boat, I was very close with Hannah's family. So this is, the family's in shock, but we need Virginia. How you doing? We need all of the well wishes and prayers and everything else that we can get sent in that direction. And you know what? This is the boat for it. This is the boat for it. People, I am hoping against hope that. That Linda is is hearing me, and that Linda is probably going into my back office. I would love to do a little bit more question and answer today. That was a great format yesterday. It was a lot of fun. I love the feedback that's instant. I'm getting a lot of emails from people who seem to really love what we're doing with the live feeds. It's going to get to a point where we have to limit them more. There's no way around that, because I will be going back to work here. I'm going to test. Tomorrow's Friday. On Saturday, I will be testing again. And I am assuming that test is going to say that I'm no longer testing for the C16+3. So if that is the case, I will be going back to work. That's going to cut down on the number of live feeds. It's not going to get rid of them, because I love this. I'm not going to lie to you, people. I don't have a big blooper reel. I'm not a polished guy. You know what I mean? I don't do a particularly polished product. I sit down and I talk. So it's very rare that unless my phone rings or I'm dumb enough to leave the phone on or do something that the front doorbell or something like that, then normally whatever I sit down and film. I mean, you've heard me correct myself and do all those other things. I'm not putting out the most polished and edited and buffed up product. So the live feed is quite similar to just watching me. The difference is that I get to interact a lot more with you people instantly, which is cool. And you all get to know each other. I think that's one of the biggest things. Oh, I wanted to say this in the last 2 live streams and I haven't. The safe harbors that I put up so that people had a place to go and talk and get to know one another, like the one that we have on Facebook, which is it is the Lifeboat Show is the name of the group. It's growing, people. It's growing big, and it's awesome. I didn't structure this thing. Once again, all I got to do is sort of put something up and you people take over, and that's the coolest thing ever. But that's just how it seems to work constantly. I put up the Lifeboat Show as a group. Everybody showed up, and the first person that did said, my drug of choice was crack. I was spending this much on it a day. I've been sober for this long, and I'm still struggling with alcohol. But I'm coming to the boat, and I'm hoping that I'm going to get the support, and I really want to quit. Boom! The next person that showed up did the exact same thing, and everyone is there. They're all getting to know one another. It is a great place. The 4 rules apply there the same way they do on the boat. So it gives people an opportunity to go and talk about issues that, we lay our souls bare. For those of you who just watched Mark's interview with me, well, that's raw, people. It's very difficult to be detached when you say something like, I took my son's Christmas money out in the middle of the night in a snowstorm and brought my son with me to go cop pills. You're just laying it open. You're sharing with the world things that are so personal. And that's great. The bonus and the benefit that people in recovery get from hearing a story like Mark's, there's no way to put words to that. There isn't. As I was going back and reading through the comments, in the live feed, and people were just saying, so many times somebody just typed wow, or talked about just, it's awesome, it moves you, it really does. But I'll be damned, I'm sorry, if I'm going to let somebody say something stupid when somebody is laying open their life that way. So there needs to be some rules, and we have them there as well. Over on Instagram, same type of thing. You know what I mean? The same rules. It's going to be harder to police over there because the way the format is, I can't insulate the group nearly the same way that I can on a Facebook group. It's a lot easier. There's a lot of you that hate Facebook. I get it. This is something that I really want everyone to hear me on. If I liked Facebook, then I wouldn't have needed to put a group up, right? I don't like Facebook, but I don't dislike it because of how it is set up. The concept is great. It really is. It's a great concept. Come and share things about your life. Let us get to know you. It's an opportunity for people to come together, find out about each other, and bring up issues and discuss things. It's awesome. It gives you so many different venues. You can write things. You can print things. It's a little different that way than say the gram. Instagram's different. It's more just here's a photo and 20 words. It's a great concept. The problem is negative jerks and jackwagons got a hold of it and really have made it into something other than what it can be. But not in our group, right? Over there we can have some control, a little bit more control over there, and it's working out well. I see Saigon Cinnamon's name, George Workman. George, I love you, man. Don't ever say again, I'm sorry that I emailed you. People, listen to me. Pay attention. Send me an email. Do not say I'm sorry that I sent this email or I know you're busy or any of that stuff. Do you know why I do this, people? Because I want you to reach out to me. I want you to talk to me. George was just concerned about our boy not being around as well, and he reached out to tell me. But I think he felt guilty because I had just come off a live feed. People, there's no guilt. There's no guilt, right? It's a bad emotion. It really is. Unless you really got it coming, let's not pile it on. My email is CaptainTommyScoville@gmail.com. If you've got a question that you don't want the world to hear in the comment section, I get that. Makes perfect sense to me, especially because of the subject matter. There's going to be tons of times that people do not want, that we don't want the entire world to hear what we're about to ask. So for those questions, email them to me. And don't feel guilty about doing it. That's why I do this. That's why I do this, right? That is what we're doing. Not sorry. Let me see here. Okay, and Linda is active because I just got something from her. People, I need to put a link. I will put a link in the Dropbox on my page. How would that be? So there will be a link to the group, not only on Instagram, but on Facebook. I will get that done as soon as someone teaches me how to do it. Yeah. No, I'll get that done. I promise you within, by tomorrow, it will be up there and going. If it's not up there in the morning, it will be before the afternoon because I'm going to get that up. It's one of those things that it's the palm to the face, right? I didn't think of that. That aspect of all of this stuff, people, I'm not good at. But I definitely care. I'm here for you people. So the things I am good at, take advantage of them. If you got a question, email it to me. And I promise you I'm going to answer those. I promise you. That's important to me. The more that I interact, the more that I answer questions, the better off we all are. I also want to thank the people who stuck around on yesterday's live feed for 2.5 hours. To sit and listen to me talk for 2.5 hours says a great deal about who you people are in terms of wanting to support this community. Because obviously people, it's easy for someone to get bored when they listen to you. The fact that you stuck around proves that you're trying to move this boat forward. Because people, and I've been wanting to say this too, after last night's 2.5 hours, people, we are 3/4 of the way to our goal of 4,000 hours of view time. And these live feeds do amazing amounts toward moving that forward. My videos are 15 minutes long. So people stop in and they watch, half of them, 3/4 of them, and they move on. When you get on a live feed and you've got, 30 people or 20 people who stick around for 2.5 hours, that really keeps the clock running. And that kind of thing really moves us forward. Then the people who couldn't get onto the live feed then go and watch it. This is a great format to get to that goal of monetization, and we're getting there, people. The goal has always been Halloween, right? We wanted to make sure that we got there by Halloween. It is absolutely going to be something that we do before Halloween. We're going to hit that. And I believe Jesse Stinson just said that I am his favorite YouTuber. That is the coolest thing ever. Honestly, I mean, that is humbling stuff. Honestly, I bet if you really evaluate it, it's got a lot to do with all the people that are here too. I mean, that's the... I have a cool message, not going to lie. I really do. The message is great. And the venue is perfect. That's what it is. I mean, I promise you. I'm not bagging on myself. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. And when you enjoy what you're doing, people can see that. But the two things we've really got going for us on this boat, people, is that the message is damn near perfect, right? There's nothing wrong with you because you were addicted to drugs. It does not make you a bad person. And it doesn't make you a bad person if you were addicted to porn. And it doesn't make you a bad person if you were addicted to slot machines or poker tables. It means that you went through some times in your life that were tough. And that kind of addiction, any kind of addiction, makes people do things that normally they wouldn't do. And the guilt that comes from that can convince you that you're not a good person. And I'm here to tell you that that's just horse excrement. You are an amazing human being, every single person who's here. So the message is awesome, it really is, but the venue is perfect. The fact that this group supports one another the way that they do, I really did not believe that, 55, 56 days into this, that I would know 40 people. And I don't mean just know their names, I mean know these people. Like, I know people in different countries. I know the names of their kids. I know so much of what is going on with the people on this boat. And that is because of what you people have done. I came up with an idea for a show, and you people claimed it. And renamed it, and reshaped it, and rebranded it. And then turned it into something that is so much bigger, and so much better, and so much farther along than what I thought this was ever going to be. It is a community far more than it's a show, and I get it. I really do. It means the world to me that you said that, Jesse. It does, and I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so glad that you're a part of it. I can't think of anybody on this boat that I dislike. That may sound like it's not a big deal. People, I have struggled my entire life, and it's something that I've worked on, really seriously worked on, with liking people. Doesn't that sound awful? But I tried so hard to have nothing to do with social media. I got into social media so far down the road. I'm not joking you. I opened my first account on a Facebook page October of last year. I wasn't in prison the entire time that Facebook was open either. I was on the street when Facebook was really starting to become popular. I wanted nothing to do with it. I hated the concept. I thought, if you're going to build a friend, you should go and meet the person. Why would you want to do this online? This is the dumbest thing ever. And then my first exposure to it was through a girl that I was married to that was really into Facebook. And as I was looking at what was happening out there, I was like, this is awful. I mean, this literally is awful. First of all, and we've gone over this, all you see is the best parts of anyone's life, or you get the hate. There's nothing in between. So we end up looking at people and saying, oh man, do they have a perfect life. Look, they just bought a new car. Look at their family. They're in Tahiti. Look at the picture. No one says, this is a picture of me and my wife on the post, right? We're fighting about the mortgage payment. This is a picture of me and my wife. We're arguing over the fact that I went out last Friday. You don't see anything of a person's life except the best of it. Or you get those people that just rail about how much they hate one political party or the other. And that's an awful, awful mix. I don't like it. Admittedly, I don't. But you take a group like this, right? This is the best of the best. This is the best of the best anywhere. This is the best of the best in the world. These are people who care about other people for no other reason than to care about other people. If you can get all of those people together in one group, what happens is magic. For real. Look at it. This was the Tommy Scoville show. Right now it's the Lifeboat. I will say, for those of you who have been here from the very day, when I introduced the Lifeboat, when I introduced the Tommy Scoville show, I said, this is the Tommy Scoville show for the time being. I never liked the name it was sort of a placeholder until I was really kind of hoping that something would come to me. But as it turns out, something came to you guys, which was so much better. And for the historians on the boat, because we already have them, I get a lot of questions about, how this became the lifeboat, things like that. Johnny Scoville came up with the concept of the boat. I did a video and Johnny was in the comment section, and I said, I was talking about what makes this special, and the reason that we all seem to get along is because we realize that we're all in the same boat, whether we're addicts, whatever our particular addiction is, or if you just are in love with someone who's an addict, or there's somebody in your life. There are so many reasons that people get on this boat, but we were all in the same boat. And I said it 2 or 3 times over the course of the video, and then Johnny popped up in the comment section and said, well, we have a bus, as they call it over on Chase the Heat. He said, we got a bus over there. I guess you guys have a boat. And the comment section went nuts. So that started to, that was, for you historians, that was the start of the whole boat motif. And then a gentleman who's no longer here, as we were voting on a different name, somebody that used to be a subscriber to the channel, I had said something about the initials LB meaning lifeboat. That was not one of the choices that we had to vote on that day, but this person said, I'd rather vote on lifeboat. And I think, honestly, there were 6 or 7 votes against that. Every other person, and there was a bunch of people that voted that day, all went with lifeboat. I think it's perfect. I really do. It's, we're out saving people, right? In a sea of addiction. We're also a boat sailing in a sea of hate. This is a boat of love in a sea of hate. The venue of social media is not loaded down with really positive messages. That's why I love Wages World. I can head over there and never have to worry about any of the hate that seems to be all over the rest of social media. I can get away from my channel and go to someone else's that's got the exact same set of values, and the subject matter is cool. I really enjoy learning, because that definitely is something that I didn't get in school. I'm not going to lie to you people. What he did last night, talking about the change of seasons in this, in the world. He said, I don't want you to feel bad if this is something that you're learning for the first time. Look, I'm over 50, and honestly, what they taught me in school wasn't close to what he was teaching me. So it's a great place to go and learn an awful lot. But just as importantly, it's a comment section that that's got family. It's got people that are just that everyone has come together. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, let me see here. Oh, you know what? I just got a cool question. It says if I could do a video specifically for teens. This is from the daughter of one of the people that are in the comment section. That are in the boat. I have toyed with this. I would love to do this. My fear is I would like for them not to watch every other video I do. But I can do it and put it in a playlist. I probably will do this. And what I would encourage parents to do is, if you show your child or your teenager a video that I do specifically for teens, please be there, right? Don't turn them loose on the channel and say this is gonna help. There's things that I talk about, like especially when I do the ounce of prevention stuff. I'm telling parents the right places to look if your kids are stashing dope, right? I'm telling you how to tell if your kids are on drugs, and if your kids are or end up becoming on drugs, there are things that they're going to change their behavior on, which is going to make it much more difficult to get a look at whether or not someone is using. Do you understand what I'm saying? I really like sort of being able to insulate that in 2 places. Maybe what I'll do is I will film something for Instagram. That's what I will do. That makes more sense. Yes, I will do that. I will put together a video, or maybe even a series of them, where I talk to kids and teenagers about drugs, and I will do it because Instagram gives me 1 hour. So I could do a 1 hour blast on Instagram, and parents could take their kids to that harbor and allow them, because there's not going to be any of the other material that I do there. You know what? I like that. Do you see that, people? What just happened? This was a great idea from a teenager, and it's taking shape right here on the boat. I will do that. I promise you. That's a great idea. We'll do something, and I'll put it up on the Lifeboat Show over on Instagram. I like that. It's a great idea, and ideally, I still would like to have parents watch with their kids, because I'll tell you something. I did research. The last time I was out, before I screwed up and went back to prison, I was putting this together, and I relapsed. But before I did, and I was doing research, we were calling parents. I didn't call them. We actually hired somebody to do this. But they were calling parents, and they asked a series of questions. And one of the questions was, do you talk to your kids? First question, do you talk to your kids about drugs? Of course. Literally every single parent of the last person we called said of course. But when we said, what do you say to your kids? The answer was always, I tell them not to do drugs, right? We tell them not to do it. That's literally like the extent of what parents do when talking to their kids about drugs in this country. I tell them not to do it. That's probably a little too basic. So our next question would be, well, do you tell them specific things about specific drugs? And I'm talking 8 out of 10 said, no, they do that at school, right? Like relying on the DARE program, which is now defunct and gone, but that was a big one for a long time. But they allow the education process on drugs to take place in high schools. Number one, if you're cool with your child learning about drugs in high school, they're going to learn about them in the bathroom, not a classroom. I promise you. They're going to learn about them from kids. They're not going to learn about them from teachers. If I look back to when I was 16, 17, 15, I have to look to the last century in order to do that. But when I look back on it and I think, were there, if you looked at groups of people that I did not want to hear talk, right? I didn't want to be anywhere near. Teachers and police officers were probably pretty high on that list. And that was the people that they brought in to talk to us about drugs. So it was never a very effective thing. And then on the flip side, what people don't believe me when I tell them this, but I'm telling you the truth, they used to show us Reefer Madness, right? I saw it 3 years in a row. That is a comedy, right? People buy that tape because it's funny. But it was meant to be a propaganda film against drugs. They were still showing this in the early 80s. So when we watched the video, and the guy smokes a joint and goes insane and starts beating his wife and throwing things through the window and going nuts and acting like a very addicted heroin addict, coming home from work and yelling, "Jane, get my reefers." It's like one of the more famous clips from that film. But he literally needs that next joint or he's going to die. Get my reefers! We watched these things. And then when you started to see kids that get high and realize that everything they told you was a lie, you start to question the next round. And the next round was cocaine. They told you, look, 2 grams of pure cocaine will kill a guy 200 pounds. They're lying. They lied about weed. So, yeah, I will put that video together. I want parents to watch it with their kids because you're the frontline soldiers in the war on drugs. It's not police officers. It's not Border Patrol agents. It's not the DEA. The frontline soldier in the war on drugs are the people in this country raising kids. Or any other country for that matter. But in the United States of America, where I live, if there's any chance at all of you raising a drug-free child, it's going to be because you got very involved with your child and talking to them about this substance. Whether you realize it or not, your kids trust you emphatically. We all go through a phase when we're in our teens where it seems like we're not getting along very well with parents. And as parents, we feel like our kids are just, they don't like us, they don't relate to us. Trust me, they love you and they trust you and they respect you. And even if they're angry from time to time, they still trust and respect their parents. That you have to be the frontline soldier in the war on drugs. It's basically that cut and dry. Also, people, I had a long talk with Jack today. For those of you who are full-time crew members on this boat, Jack is my best friend and has been for a very, very long time. And Jack and I were in the life, very actively in the life together for a decade and a half. Jack and I did dope every single day together. And spent more time together than you could possibly imagine. And he is a very unique person in that he's still my best friend. He's not dead. never going to stop saying it. Let's go save some people. It's that serious. Being addicted to drugs, being a slave to that, whether you're alive, you're not. You know what I mean? I lived that life for 2 decades, and it's not a life. You're not living. So let's go out there. Let's tell people that there's a better way. All right? I am Captain Tommy Scoville. This is the Lifeboat, and you're the best crew anywhere in the world. God bless. Now, see if I can turn this off successfully this time, huh? Linda, you're the best. Best call screener today. I was going to say in America, but since she's not. All right, people, let's try this one more time.